Here then, can I ask you a question? Who in 1 Peter 3:19 it says that Jesus after death went and preached to the spirits in prison.
Okay, so
where's that prison and who are those spirits?
Okay, so there are different views on that. And I'm actually not sure where I stand on this one. So some would say, well, that's fallen angels. Others would say that's Old Testament saints. Others would say it's the ungodly. I actually don't know.
Well, it says about those in the time of Noah and the days of Noah.
It doesn't change what I believe, but it's one of those perplexing. It's one of those perplexing verses that people have different views on. So it's not a core thing, but it tells us something about what happened to Jesus after he died. So into the creeds we have he descended into hell, and we would agree on that as well. So
yeah, we don't know much.
So I'm sorry, I'm going to wander off, not because. Thank you.
I thought you were here for a while.
I've got to carry on with what I'm doing as well. So,
okay.
We'll talk again.
Okay. Well, okay, because I'd like to. There are many things that, like you said. I mean, just to go.
I don't agree with.
I know you don't agree with.
For example, in Romans.
So this is in the Bible. The just shall live by faith. You've been patient with me, and I'm very grateful to you for that. Thanks.
Oh, but hopefully we'll be. I mean, where St. James says, you're not justified. A man is justified by faith, by works, and not by faith alone.
He also says, you show me your faith without works, and I will show you my faith by my works. So he establishes justification by faith. We can't take it without this context.
Are you accepting, though, that phrase, you see that a man is justified by works and not by faith alone?
So
you accept that?
Well, James says that.
Yes.
But again, when we take it in terms of the wider scriptures, he might be talking about antinomians. Antinomians are people who say, well, I'm a Christian, so I can go off and I commit adultery and I can lie and I can steal, and that's fine. James is talking about the difference that Jesus Christ makes in our lives when he comes and lives in our hearts and lives. You cannot be a Christian and unchanged. But James is not arguing for justification by works.
Are you sure?
I'm certain, with all my heart.
But this is the problem. Martin Luther thought he was. That's why he said, it's an epistle of straw and I want to get it out of the Bible.
Martin Luther was coming out of the Church of Rome and he only saw things bit by bit. I mean, he was anti-Semitic as well, which is shocking.
The point is, though, a great man, for Protestantism, a great man like Luther got something totally wrong in your view.
I agree, yeah.
That means
great men have great failings.
Now, he could be wrong, but isn't there a possibility you might be the wrong one on this?
Well,
and you're trying to interpret James in a nicer way.
I have to go back to the rest of the Bible and say, how does James fit in with the rest of Scripture?
Oh, and that's all right to do that. All I'm trying to say is, this major figure in the Protestant world disagrees with you.
Okay.
Isn't it possible that even though you...
No, Luther doesn't disagree, because Luther, the Reformation was sparked. Luther
no,
was
on James,
converted.
On James, on the letter of James.
But let's take the whole Bible. Luther was converted when he was lecturing on the book of Romans in the Augustinian convent, and he was lecturing on Romans 1, and he read these words, the just shall live by faith. And God opened his eyes, and he saw then that all of his works and all of his self-flagellation, which goes on in the Church of Rome, and all of his masses and all of his confessions couldn't help him one bit to get to heaven. He saw it was entirely faith alone, in Jesus Christ alone, that saved him. No, just going to quote one verse here. Okay, Romans chapter 4, verse 2. For if Abraham were justified by works, he hath whereof to glory, but not before God. And then verse 3, for what saith the scripture? Abraham believed God, and it was counted unto him for righteousness.
But then
saving faith in Jesus Christ is counted to us for righteousness.
But in the same book, same letter, in Romans 11:22, St. Paul says, note then the kindness and the severity of God. And he's talking to Roman Christians here.
Sorry, 11 verse what?
22.
Okay. I
won't say Roman Catholics, I don't want to wind you up. Note then the kindness and the severity of God. Severity towards those who've fallen, but God's kindness to you, good Christians, provided you continue in his kindness. Otherwise, you too will be cut off.
Okay.
So a true Christian must continue in God's kindness and is at risk of being cut off. That is going to hell.
I don't agree. I'm a Calvinist. And I love the doctrines of grace. And I would say this, a true Christian cannot be cut off. A true Christian cannot
But he's just
fall.
said it.
There are those who profess faith and fall away. But if salvation depends on God and God takes hold on somebody in their heart and their life, if my salvation depended on me, if I had to get up and catch a bus opposite my flat tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock to be saved, I would miss that bus.
Listen, maybe we all would, but the point is here, St. Paul is speaking, and he says to these Roman Christians, to them, provided you, so God's kindness to you, true Christians therefore, provided you continue in his kindness. So he's not talking about half-hearted, not real Christians, pretend Christians. He's talking about you must continue in his kindness to be saved and not to go to hell.
Do, because they are saved.
Why would St. Paul say it like this then? That warning them that if they don't continue in his kindness, they could be cut off.
That's a good question. I'm going to go.
All right.
I'm really grateful to you for talking.
We can talk about more another time.
Yeah. I like these
It's a pleasure.
because they're a lot better than some of the ones.
We'll talk again. Have a good evening, afternoon here, anyway. All right.